everybody. Thanks for coming to our weekly AA meeting. I'm happy to see everybody here. My name is Angie, and I'm an alcoholic. I have been sober for 25 years. My drug of choice is alcohol. We're going to start today with the Serenity Prayer. I know we usually end with it, but I thought we'd do something a little bit different to get us all centered. So if you would like to join me in saying the Serenity Prayer, you're welcome to. But if you would rather just listen, you're welcome to do that as well. Here we go. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Thank you for everybody who joined me. Before we get started with sharing, I'm going to read the preamble just to make sure that everybody is on the same page. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are a self-supporting group through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution. AA does not wish to engage in any controversy. We do not endorse or oppose any particular cause. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics achieve sobriety. With that done, I would like to recognize Charity. This is Charity's first meeting. Hi, Charity. And finally, we will read through the AA promises. If you know the promises and you would like to join in with me, you are welcome to do so. They're up on this board to my left. 1. We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. 2. We will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. 3. We will comprehend the word serenity, and we will know peace. 4. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. 5. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. 6. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. 7. Self-seeking behaviors will slip away. 8. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. 9. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. 10. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. And last but not least, we will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Thank you all for joining me in reciting the promises. If you were here last week, you might remember Bobby. Bobby is one of our members who has been coming for quite a long time. And he was about halfway through his story of his personal journey when our meeting ended. And so I've asked if Bobby would mind continuing his story for us. So if you wouldn't mind, please turn your attention to Bobby.
So I entered the treatment center, and it was awkward for me. Everyone around me was telling me to shut my mouth. For 3 weeks this went on. I wasn't allowed to express anything. All I was allowed to do was listen to everybody else's stories. So the first week, it was awful. I sweat all the time. Every night I would wake up and dripping in sweat. I had to change my bed sheets all the time. Every night this happened. All because I was detoxing. The alcohol in my system was leaving my body. It was no fun. It's dripping sweat all the time. I would wake up and wondering where I was. I realized I was at the treatment center. It was awful. That process finished, and then finally the next week I said my name, but I didn't know what else to say. I told everybody my name is Bobby. That was it. I tried to raise my hand to speak, but they told me, nope, not happening today. So there were AA meetings on the treatment property and off the property. I went to the meetings, and there was such a variety of different people there. There was older people, men, women, all ages attended this meeting. Some people were worse than me, and there were some people who thought I was worse than them. It was just such a wide variety of people there. Some people there were sober for a month or 2 months, some even for 5 years, 4 years. It was just different. Everybody had their own story. We still had one thing in common, which was we were all alcoholics. Step one was to admit that our problem has become unmanageable and our life is a wreck. So the treatment center had placed an interpreter in the meetings for me. 1 month I was in the treatment center when I had completed it and left. I had left the treatment center and went out into the real world. I ended up in a halfway house with 14 men, mind you, 14 men in one house who shared the same common problem with me. This halfway house did not provide an interpreter for me, and there was only one AA meeting once a week. That was it. I was stubborn because I wanted sobriety. I wanted my life to be better. I wanted to stop drinking, leave the drugs all behind. I didn't care if there was no interpreter. I still wanted to go to the meetings. It didn't matter. I would go to the meetings. I would help make the coffee. I myself don't like coffee, but I would still go help make the coffee. I would set up the tables, set up all the chairs. It didn't matter. I was doing a 90-90. Do you know what that is, you guys? It's 90 meetings in 90 days. Well, I was doing actually 180 meetings in 90 days. I would sometimes go to meetings twice a day, 3 times a day, 4 times a day because I was stubborn. I wanted to be sober. I would go to the meetings and listen to the discussions. It was hard for me to understand, but in the meeting I felt safe. Outside of the meeting, there was temptation everywhere. I didn't want that feeling at all. So I would go to the meetings constantly. Do you guys know about the big book? Well, I would read the big book, read it to myself. I would watch the presenters at the meetings. I would sit in the front and try to read what they were saying off their lips. I felt safe in the meetings. I went to different kinds of meetings. I went to AA meetings. I went to NA meetings, which is Narcotics Anonymous, and a CDA meeting, which is a community-based addiction program. All 3 of them I would go. Throughout the day I would go to work, and then right after work I would go straight to the meetings because I wanted to help myself. I did receive a sponsor, and normally people just receive 1, but for me I needed 2. Because if I needed to contact a hearing sponsor, it'd be difficult. There are many deaf people out there who need a sponsor, and it's a struggle. They need to have different kinds of sponsors, so that we can have different kind of sponsors who can use video relay services. You know, back then we didn't have any of that. We had TTYs, or we had to use the phone. I mean, that's not very helpful. So for me, I had 2 sponsors. If I couldn't contact one, then I had the option of contacting the other. My sponsors were very strict. They would follow me around and make sure that I was continuing with my steps. Step 1 I finished, then step 2. On step 3 I did get a little stuck on step 3. Step 3 states that I give my life up to the Lord, up to the God, as I understand Him. I would ask myself, God, who's God? He doesn't know anything about my life, so I sort of skipped that step. Oops. But anyways, I completed the rest of the steps. About 6 years later, I finally understood what that meant, and I finished step 3. But at that time, my sponsors were in my face, and they were telling me I needed to complete that first. But, oops. So I continued with the steps, and I continued to go to the meetings. My life was changing. I was improving. It wasn't improving very fast, but I was making positive steps. Sometimes I would think about what it would be like if I ever went back to drinking. I don't know if you guys know this, but I do have a heart problem, and if I continue to drink, I would die. My doctor had given me a liver test. I don't remember exactly what he diagnosed me with, but basically I had liver damage. And if I had continued to drinking, I would say about 2 to 3 months I would be dead. I would be dead. So this was a great time for me to stop drinking. And if I do drink, I would just continue to damage my liver. And I don't want that. I do get tempted. I still do. Even one time I entered a bar and sat down. I thought about it and I ended up leaving. It was a close call, but I left. So I do take my sobriety seriously, and I want my life to change. I am frustrated with communication. However, I'm stubborn. It's nice today. If tomorrow I wake up and then I'm faced with a problem, I can be clean and sober. That's the idea of what I know how to handle day-to-day problems. So 1 year goes by, 2 years go by, and I learn to deal with these problems, and I improve myself. It's not a fast process at all, but as long as I continue to go to those meetings 2 to 3 times every day, I meet people all the time. I have met deaf people, but then they would relapse. Then I met some other people, and they would relapse. But AA meetings are always the same, always consistent. People go to those meetings because they want to help and support other people and spread a positive attitude throughout the meeting. My old life, I like to focus on my new life. 4 and 5 years after doing the steps, time and time again, I still learn from these steps, and I keep on improving. It's been 22 years since that treatment center, and is it time for me to relax? No, actually. Once in a while, I'm still tempted. I have a problem. There's money stress. I have to worry about my friends, work, financial, all those things put stress on me. There's wars going on, there's children, there's schools, all those things affect me and put stress on me, and of course, that's okay. That's not a reason to go back to drinking, though. If I ever went back to taking that first drink, it'd be lights out for me. I'd be dead. So I enjoy my life, and I am practicing sobriety, and I'm clean, and I want to help other people with their problems. I can look at somebody and look back and remember when I was in their exact position. I remember when I was at the treatment center, those people who helped me, and now it's time for me to help other people. That's what AA is all about. Continuing with the help and the progress with everybody else. It does happen, relapse does happen, but you have to continue with a positive attitude. Even those who have helped me have relapsed. So people continue to help me, and God continues to help me. My sobriety helps me, people help me, my dad continues to help me. He encourages me to become sober, to be clean of drugs, to be clean of alcohol. My life is better, yes. Is it perfect? No. But I feel good. I feel okay. That's alright. I have to keep my positive attitude day after day. Take it day after day, step by step.